The Minnesota Vikings meet Aaron Rodgers again in London. 8:30 a.m. start on Sunday, which I think absolutely stinks because I've got important church duties that day. Well, first of all, church is more important than a football game, so I'm going to be missing the beginning of this game, and I'll be giving a recap late afternoon once I have a chance to catch up and follow the news. I'll try to catch up and see what's happening on my phone throughout the morning, but that's the deal going on Sunday. So let's take a little preview into what is going to be expected in this Minnesota Vikings New York Jets game. All right, so the New York Jets are 2-2, and the Minnesota Vikings are 4-0, as we all know. But let's take a look at the Jets and how they got to 2-2, because it is so interesting to follow the New York Jets or to check in on the New York Jets, because they are a national team that people love to throw in your face because Aaron Rodgers plays for the Jets. If some random quarterback played for the New York Jets, nobody would pay any attention to who the New York Jets are as a team. But because Aaron Rodgers plays for the Jets, the whole are they contenders, are they pretenders conversation happens. Are they legitimate threats to win the Super Bowl? Is a discussion that happens because Aaron Rodgers plays for the team. So here's their win-losses this year. A big L, week 1 at San Fran. Hit the panic meter. Uh-oh. Well, they win on the road at Tennessee. Will Levis throws another game away, 24-17. The Jets are back. Super Bowl contenders. I knew it. Aaron Rodgers, he's back. And then they win another game against the New England Patriots, who are hot garbage, 24-3. Okay, they're back. The Jets are going all the way. Watch out, New Orleans, because the Jets are flying into town. Because then they got Denver. They're going to be 3-1. Well, they lose to Denver. They score 9 points. They don't score a single touchdown. 10-9. Bo Nix had negative passing yards in the first half. The Denver Broncos were pissing that game away. Just like, take it. And the New York Jets didn't take it, which isn't a result of the New York Jets defense. That's something that we should consider going into this matchup. So far, only in one game this year, week 1, have the Jets defense had a absolute stinker. But you also need to consider the quarterbacks they're playing. Will Levis, Jacoby Brissett, and a rookie in Bo Nix, who has had some decent showings in their win against the Buccaneers, has had some moments, but has had some really bad moments too throughout his first 4 games of his NFL career. Let's take a look at Aaron Rodgers' game log, because he's the most popular player on their team. He's the guy that everyone wants to talk about. And he's 40 years old, so we need to see what kind of numbers Aaron Rodgers is putting together. All right. And their week 1 loss to the Niners, 13 for 21, 167 yards, 62% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Week 2 against the Titans, 18 for 30, 176 yards, 60% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Week 3 against the Patriots, 27 for 35, 281 yards, 77% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, which is by far his best game of the season. And last week against the Broncos, 24 for 42, 225 yards, 57% completion percentage, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. What stands out to me about Aaron Rodgers' performances this season are 2 things. One, they've been pretty crappy besides one solid performance against the New England Patriots and a decent performance against the Titans. But there's nothing's going to blow you away in that Titans matchup. 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, 18 for 30, 176 yards. He was an efficient enough quarterback in that game. But what really stands out to me, and this has been a Minnesota Vikings advantage all season long, Aaron Rodgers only has one interception, and it happened in the first game of the season. He does not turn the ball over. Aaron Rodgers does not take many risks on the football field. And the Minnesota Vikings defense has capitalized on so many turnovers, and the Minnesota Vikings offense has capitalized off of those turnovers. So many times, opposing offenses have turned the ball over in their own territory. Jordan Love did it. C.J. Stroud did it. And the Minnesota Vikings have turned those turnovers immediately into touchdowns. So that's going to be a challenge for the Minnesota Vikings in this ballgame, which is something to keep an eye on, because if Aaron Rodgers continues his trend of not turning the football over, well, it will be a fascinating watch to see if the Minnesota Vikings offense slows down a little bit, because the Jets defense has been pretty good against three crappy teams. And it'll be fun to watch to see if that is more of a trend, the Jets defense playing better, or if it was just a facade because they played against three quarterbacks that aren't very good. It's probably a little bit of both, if we're being honest about it. The Minnesota Vikings are 2.5-point favorites against the Jets in London. And another good thing that is happening in this football game is that the Minnesota Vikings injury report is very limited on the players that are on it. Akalib Evans had an illness. He was a DNP on Wednesday, but he was a full participant on Thursday. He doesn't really play besides special teams. Josh Oliver scored a touchdown last week. Wednesday, he was limited. Thursday, he was limited with a wrist injury. Ivan Pace Jr. Had an ankle injury. He's missed the last 2 weeks. He was limited on Wednesday, but a full participant on Thursday, so expect him back as linebacker. Brandon Powell, who showed just how important he was last week when Jalen Naylor muffed a punt and gave the Green Bay Packers some momentum right before halftime. He was a limited participant on a Wednesday and Thursday. And then Sam Darnold, who had another little short injury scare against the Green Bay Packers when the defender kind of like pulled him back and his knee kind of bent awkwardly. He's a full participant on a Wednesday and Thursday, so no concern on him playing. But good news that Jordan Addison isn't back on the injury report. Aaron Jones hasn't been on the injury report all season. No defenders that are needed, like cornerbacks, Stephon Gilmore and Shaq Griffin, who are a little bit older in age, are on the injury report. Harrison Smith's not on the injury report. So the Minnesota Vikings' health continues throughout this regular season, which is a very, very good thing. One of the matchups that is going to be fun to watch in this ball game is going to be the way Aaron Rodgers plays against Harrison Smith and the way Justin Jefferson performs against Sauce Gardner. Harrison Smith, who's played Aaron Rodgers basically his entire career, had this to say about Aaron Rodgers.
Everything. He's seen it all, done it all. He's still got, in my opinion, the best arm that's ever played. So he uses everything he can to his advantage. Cadence, play clock, formations,
everything.
So, yeah, you got to be on your P's and Q's when you see him.
All right, so that was Harrison Smith, who is now meeting Aaron Rodgers for the 21st time in his NFL career. It's a lot of games. And here's Justin Jefferson on Sauce Gardner.
Oh, for sure. They're great.
corners. It doesn't matter, which side you go to. They're great matchups on both ends. So, even the last matchup, it wasn't a big day for me yardage wise. We still got the dub, and I still was able to get in the end zone. But yardage wise, it wasn't that big for me. So, of course, this time around, I want to have a better yardage game. Of course, I want to get in the end zone, but it's definitely going to be tough going against those type of guys. But we live for those matchups. I always love going against those top tier corners. But I'm excited for the matchup for sure.
It'll be fun to watch how the New York Jets play Justin Jefferson, because they do have Sauce Gardner. How many guys are they going to turn and put pressure on Justin Jefferson? Are they going to take one and just go mano-a-mano, Sauce versus JJ? Or are they going to bring a safety over the top like most NFL defenses do? Are they going to bring three guys over there, which you sometimes randomly see? Will Sauce Gardner follow Justin Jefferson all over the field, or is he going to stick to his side of the field? So lots of fun, different things to look at in this football game. One last thing that I think is of importance is the intensity that we are going to see from the Jets this game. They've lost to the Broncos. They lost to the Titans. They lost to the Broncos. They beat the Titans. They beat the Patriots. They haven't beat a quality opponent yet this year. They haven't really beat anybody. And after this Vikings game, they play the following Monday night against the Buffalo Bills at home. Maybe they can sneak that one out, but it's probably a loss. Buffalo's playing pretty good this year. And then they go on the road at Pittsburgh, on the road at New England. The New York Jets are in scary territory, because if they lose this game at versus Minnesota at London, it's a home game for Minnesota, then they play Buffalo at home. Well, you're looking at a 2-4 record. And then you go to Pittsburgh on the road, and their defense is elite, one of the tops in the NFL. Even though Justin Fields and the offense doesn't really scare you, their record is still pretty good. So the New York Jets are going to have a lot of intensity in this football game, because it's kind of a must-win game for them, especially because the Buffalo Bills are 3-1, and you match up with them the following week. You don't want to be 2-3 going home to Buffalo. That's a scary matchup. So it seems like the New York Jets are going to be extremely focused, because they hear the narratives. They haven't beat anybody. Are they fraudulent? The media talks about the Jets over and over and over again. So that might be a battle that the Minnesota Vikings have to face in this game, because the Vikings are 4-0 and the Jets are 2-2. And at some point, there is some truth to which team needs this game more than the other team. And the Minnesota Vikings are going into the bye week the following week, and you want to win going into the bye week. You want a good taste in your mouth when you get a week off. So, despite the intensity from the Jets, I'm still going to predict the Minnesota Vikings to win this football game. I predicted the Vikings to win last week against the Packers 24-17, and I'm going to predict the Minnesota Vikings to win this week. What's this going to be the score? 27-20. So the Minnesota Vikings win this week 27-20 in London. Mark it down. Vikings move to 5-0 as they enter the bye week.